As most twin parents know, having two kids of the same age is rarely two for the price of one. And this includes activities and events, especially birthday parties. It seems that this one particular event can be a major budget buster for twin parents everywhere. Today we're here with our expert panelists to share some tips on how you can have a fabulous birthday party for your twosome without breaking the bank. This is Twin Talks.
The ultrasound shows your babies to be healthy.
What? Did you say babies? You're huge. Are you having twins?
Are they natural?
Which one do you like better?
Twins, huh? My neighbor's cousin's brother's uncle's a twin.
So can they read each other's minds?
How do you tell them apart?
Twins? You got a 2 for 1.
Do twins run in your family?
Double trouble. You're not having any more, are you?
At least you're not Octomom.
If you're pregnant with twins or you're an experienced twin parent, odds are you've heard it all before. Now it's time to hear from the experts. This is Twin Talks, Parenting Times 2. Welcome to Twin Talks, broadcasting from the Birth Education Center of San Diego. Twin Talks is your weekly online, on-the-go support group for expecting and new parents of twins. I'm your host, Christine Stewart Fitzgerald. Have you heard about the Twin Talks Club? Our members get bonus content after each new show, plus special giveaways and discounts. Subscribe to our monthly Twin Talks newsletter and learn about the latest episodes available. And another way for you to stay connected is by downloading our free Twin Talks app. It's available in the Android and iTunes marketplace. So before we get started, let's meet our panelists in the room. And let's see here. Well, first, I'll introduce myself as the host. I'm a mom to 5-year-old girls, identical girls, and we just celebrated their birthday last week. So I have to say a lot of this is so relevant. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like, every little bit, putting out tons of money. So, and girls, what can I say? And I do have a singleton who will be 2 next month. So now we're already starting to plan for her birthday as well. Sunny.
Yeah. So, hey, everyone, I'm Sunny, and I am the owner of New Mommy Media, which produces Twin Talks, as well as Parent Savers, the Boob Group, and Preggie Pals. And I am mommy to 4 children, ages 4 and under. My oldest 2 are boys. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. And then I have identical twin girls, Ainsley and Addison, who, as of this taping, are about 10 and a half months old. So we are creeping up on the 1-year birthday party, which my mom reminded me of the other day. And I went, oh no, I have not thought about this at all. I'm really bad with first birthdays. I don't know. There's just so much to consider. And I feel like there's so much pressure from people. So this is a good episode for me as well.
I'm Shelly. I'm the producer here at Twin Talks. I have identical twin boys who just turned 2 in July, so this would have been helpful sooner probably. And I have a singleton girl who is just 3 weeks. She's here in the studio with us today.
And she's so pretty. What's her name?
Eliza.
Eliza.
We'll take some pictures. You guys.
I wanted to actually let you guys know about our virtual panelist program if you haven't heard about it. So if you're following along at home, you can participate in our conversation. You can follow us on Facebook or Twitter. You can also use hashtag TwinTalksVP to stay a part of the conversation.
Well, today we have a special segment with one of our twin moms who just recently gave birth to some fairly large twins, and I think record-setting. So today we're with Sami Lawson.
Her twins were a combined 18 pounds and 13 ounces. Her son Jack weighed 9 pounds 10 ounces, and her son Robbie weighed 9 pounds 3 ounces.
So, I was curious. Now, early on in your pregnancy, when you were going through, all the multiple ultrasounds, were they measuring big throughout?
When we went in at like the 20-week growth, they were measuring in like the 90th percentile. And then it seemed like they slowed down a little bit. At my last ultrasound, like a week before or 5 days before, I ended up delivering, they estimated them at like 7.5 pounds each. So obviously their estimates weren't too accurate at that point.
They never are they?
Yeah.
Wow. And I guess, you had a healthy pregnancy throughout. Were there any, concerns or anything that you think might have contributed towards the larger, sizes?
No, I had no gestational diabetes. I myself gained a lot of weight, but I did that with my daughter as well, who is 10.5 pounds. And
oh, so you have big babies.
I do make big babies, yeah. So we that's what I'm saying. We were expecting them to be big, but we didn't think they were gonna, be within a pound of her. So.
Oh, wow. And then you said you had them vaginally, which is fantastic. And, did you, were there any concerns thinking, okay, well, if they're going to be on the larger size, were there discussions about, having them via C-section or?
Nope. I had a really great doctor, and I kind of, we went in there saying that the C-section's like, other than healthy mom, healthy babies, we really wanted to avoid a cesarean. And he told me, he said, they're both head down, they're both cooperating. You've already shown that you can deliver a 10.5-pound baby. I'm not worried about these guys.
Oh, that's great. And so tell us about the delivery itself. I mean, did you have a long, labor process? And of course, as every mom thinks about, big babies, labor's difficult, but I just have to say, my hat's off to you for being able to, push out 2 big babies. That's a miracle.
The pushing was actually the easier part. The waiting, my daughter was overdue, and I ended up getting induced with her, and I hated it. And it was just a really bad experience with her. And not traumatic, but just it was uncomfortable, and I'd rather if I could, let them come out on their own. So I went to my doctor's week before, and I was already at 4 centimeters, which was further than I had progressed on my own with my daughter. And so that was really encouraging. And then, 5 or 6 days went by. It was just kind of contractions that would start up and get going, and then they'd slow down again. And then I went into the hospital at, I think, 6 centimeters. And then overnight, I only progressed 2 centimeters. My doctor, the OB, kept asking if I wanted him to break my water, if I wanted any Pitocin, and I kept, no, let's let him go. And he's like, this is a really slow labor. I think we should get this started. And I kept telling him, no, okay, I've been there, done that, want to avoid it. And then when things finally picked up, I ended up getting an epidural at 9 centimeters, and I was able to take a nap because I didn't sleep all night. And then,
that's important.
and then by the time it was time to push, they came out in 5 minutes.
Wow!
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
that is
and
amazing.
By the time when they came out, my doctor was like, "Oh, well, that's why it took so long, because they were gigantic."
They had gravity working against them.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
They were also fighting for position. The one who was supposed to be baby A throughout my whole pregnancy ended up coming out second, which is good because baby B was actually the bigger one.
Oh, that's interesting. So
they ended up switching last minute.
Wow.
So baby A became baby B upon delivery. How interesting. So I'm sure you've got probably some celebrity status in the hospital, and we saw that you had a news story in the paper.
Yeah, it was all the lady who did the PR for the hospital. She came in all excited, and so she kind of set everything up, and she's like, well, these guys are gonna call you this day, and these guys are gonna come in. I'm like, oh okay, sure. But it wasn't the newspaper so much as it really blew up on Facebook, which I'm in a couple different moms groups on Facebook and stuff. So it was interesting to have all these different people that I know from different areas sending me a link, oh, you showed up on this page, or oh, this this group shared you, or which was kind of cool.
You're famous.
It's fun reading all the comments.
And of course, as all twin parents know, the celebrity status just never ends.
That's right. It's just the beginning.
Well, great. Well, hey, Sami. Thanks for sharing your story. I mean, it's inspiring, I think, for twin moms everywhere. So we really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for calling.
Well, we'll jump in, and today's topic is twin birthdays on a budget, and we're partnering with our friends at Twiniversity to share tips that help twin parents keep their sanity and stretch their dollars when planning a birthday party for their twosome. So, hey, thanks for joining us, everyone. And now, before we start talking about the strategies, maybe we should just, take a moment to, say, well, how much do twin parents, actually spend? I mean, I know we all have kids who are a few years old, so we've done this. And, I was just recently reading that the average parent spends like $300 to $400 on a birthday party. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I just went to a birthday party yesterday for a neighborhood. Actually, it was a parent of twins, but it wasn't for the twins' birthday. It was for one of their younger daughters. And it was at a very well-known establishment for kids. And, they come with all this prepackaged stuff and whatever. And the mom said to me, it can get really crazy if you go to these places and buy their packages. She's like, don't do that. Buy your own stuff, bring it in. And so she was very cost savvy because you're right. It can get so expensive. And I kind of feel like sometimes these places feed off that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I can say I went to, one of my kids' friends, party, and it was, kind of an indoor inflatable place. Yeah. And it was, I'll have to say, it was very well organized, and we had fun, and my, kids had fun. And, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they provided the food, they provided the, I think the cake, they, have this very organized thing. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's got to be at least $20 per kid. Yeah. And then there's, there was, I think, 25 kids. That's pretty crazy.
Yes. Yeah, and then, there's Pinterest. So it's out there making everybody think that your kid's first birthday has to be perfectly themed and matching. And everybody needs a full meal and a dessert and a goodie bag and, like, a candy bar. And then you get the themes, like the licensed character themes, and they're just playing off toddlers. Your kids got their favorite TV show. Yes. And then next thing you know, you're, buying everything Disney makes.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. Sure. That's so true. You pay, I think you pay more for, like the Frozen or the Jake and Neverland pirate,
Or
themes.
anything PBS, too.
Oh,
you can't leave out PBS because they're making some money on that, too, even though they're public television.
For twins, you have twice as many friends, So when I put together the guest list for the parties, my play group, everyone in my play group is a family of at least 4. So you invite 10 families and you're already at 50 people.
Oh my gosh.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, let's see. Let's look at how we can keep those costs down. So, and I'm using some tips that we got from our friends over at Twiniversity. And one of the first thoughts is to, give it time to plan. So, I know that's kind of a general, tip, but I know, like in, my case, I saw some really cool, game ideas and things, and I could go into the local store to buy them right away. But then if I gave myself the time to go online, I could buy it from some of the online retailers. But of course, you got to account for all the shipping, the time, and it's like that could take an extra week.
Well, you always pay more for convenience, just like we were talking about these places that cater towards these birthday parties, right? It's more convenient, usually, to go to another location, not have to clean up afterwards, right? Have the entertainment, kind of come, to that place. Don't have to worry about it. But then, they're going to tack on a bunch of fees and stuff like that as well. So I like convenience, though.
Yeah.
If I have it in my budget, even if I will do it.
But I think it's great that, if you do start out early, then you give yourself time to research. And I admit, I'm one of those research people. I like to find out freebies.
Yeah.
And depending on what time of year, and sometimes, and here's a thought too, sometimes there's sort of free activities going on, especially if your kids have birthdays in the summertime. And sometimes you can kind of tag along with those free activities.
Right.
Like for here in San Diego, in our where we can have free museum month. So maybe you could tag on that if you know that ahead of time.
Another benefit to planning ahead is kind of spreading out the cost. So for both of my boys' birthdays, I picked the theme. I had it in my head a couple months ahead of time, and then if I was out somewhere and I saw something that would fit, I pick up napkins on one trip and cups on another trip, and then I saw it, and so it really kind of spread out. So it wasn't a huge chunk of money out of my budget all at once. It was kind of spread out over a few months, which made it nice.
And, and I think that's also a good thing if you're really planning on being, holding to a strict budget, to use cash. So, another idea is to cash out. So, literally like set aside money in a little envelope or something. It's like, okay, and this is what we're going to spend. So, I admit I use credit cards a lot, and it's like at the end of the month, it's like, oh,
that's what I charged. That's a good rule for me for Starbucks, too. Always paying cash, and I'll spend a lot less money there.
Now, if you're not, for me, it's hard to get cash out because getting all 3 kids in the car at this age and to an ATM. But what we do is we use budgeting software, and I set a category for their birthday, and we're still using debit cards, but I set an amount, and then it automatically updates, so I could see each purchase adding up and head it to the top of that total. So, it's not using cash, but it's the same idea, an exact amount, and it just updates so we knew how much we were spending on their birthday.
Well, that's a great idea. Now, let's see. Here's another one. Come up with a theme. I know, Shelley, you had mentioned that too, and I think that's smart. If you know ahead of time what you're going to do, then you can stick to it rather than going, oh, well, this is a cute, Jake and the Neverland Pirates, and then you see some dinosaur thing, and then you're like, oh, wait, why did I buy this? Like random, and then you're kind of having to sort of, stick things together, and your money's spent. So yeah, that's smart. Let's see. Here's another one. Okay, so we're talking about the timing of the event. So now I think most people usually think of having birthday parties on the weekend. Right. Saturdays, that seems to be pretty popular.
Yeah.
But I think, as Shelley mentioned, a lot of these venues, they kind of jack the prices up. Or I should say, the prices are higher on the weekends.
That's the politically correct way of saying it, I guess.
But then you might actually find discounts, like maybe during the week, in afternoons, or maybe on a Sunday.
Well, like yesterday, the birthday party that we went to, I thought it was interesting because the mom had it at 6:30 at night. Now, it was a little bit older, party for older kids than what mine were. But I was a little bit nervous because I was like, well, why is she having it at 6:30? And then I realized she probably thinks that Saturdays and Sundays are going to be very busy times for families. And if you really want kids to come, so in addition to discount stuff, just scheduling to make sure kids are there. We could only stay for like an hour or so because my 2-year-old was just throwing a hissy fit because he didn't have a nap. But that is something to consider too with timing, is
and
that
nap times.
Yes.
So consider the age of your kids, because we my boy's first birthday party, we scheduled it from 12 to 2 because they were on 2 naps a day, but all of our other friends, they were older, the twins, and they were all on 1 nap a day, and so it was really kind of poor planning.
Oh man.
And this year we lucked out, everybody's kind of on the same afternoon nap, so we had it in the morning when kids are happiest. So if you're dealing with toddlers, I recommend like a 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, because toddlers are always happier in the morning.
Right.
Because once you hit the afternoon, they could skip a nap, which 2-year-olds love to do.
Right. And another thing to consider is, let's say in the morning, a mid-morning, you're really, that's not really breakfast time and it's not lunchtime. So if you have them kind of come in the middle, you can serve snacks. You don't have to serve
That's exactly
a whole
what
meal.
we did. We had fruit and pretzels and popcorn, and didn't have to have a whole, because their first birthday party, we had a Mexican food place cater, and we had lunch for 60.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I don't even want to tell you how much money we spent on that.
It sounds good though. It's making me hungry.
It was great, but
snacks are good.
Yes.
So let's see. Okay, so here's another tip. You can limit the guest list. So now, that's kind of obvious to limit the guest list, but you could work out sort of a rule of thumb. And what I'm looking at here is where you could maybe have the number of guests per your child's age, plus 1. So if they're 2 years old, then maybe you have like 2 or 3 guests per child. So then, for your twins, so then maybe you only end up with like 6 guests.
Right.
Which is pretty manageable.
And is that more like, because my twins are so young, I haven't really experienced this yet. So that's probably more when your twins start to have their own sets of friends, right? Because in the beginning, like Shelley was saying, she belongs to twin groups. Yeah. And it's kind of like they come in sets because the parents are really being invited, in addition to the kids.
Yeah. I think so. And especially I know now I'm just getting into it now that my girls are in kindergarten, and I'm learning the whole protocol and siblings and all of that. And so I don't know. We haven't even looked at when it comes to inviting the whole class. So that's going to be a whole thing of itself. But I think it'll have to be do you want to have a big party, or maybe just something more intimate.
Right, right.
So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about how your location of your event can keep your costs down. Well, welcome back. Today we're talking with our expert panelists, and we're joining with our friends at Twiniversity to learn how to plan a fun birthday party and keep our costs down. So we're talking strategies, and I think one of the strategies we can look at is having a cheap location. Now, again, venues can be really expensive. I mean, if you're looking to have a party at a let's say, we'll just say country club, for the high end, or, maybe an indoor, place. I mean, here in San Diego, we have a lot of, outdoor locations. But it can be really expensive to rent a venue, or, one of these all-in-one, all-inclusive places, really expensive. So what are some of the alternatives?
So we're lucky here that the weather's always nice in San Diego, but we've had the parties at parks. A benefit of parks is we have tons of them and they're free.
Yes.
But also there's very little decorating that you need to do at a park, so it really cuts down on those costs. You just have a couple things on a table, but it's not like at a house where, you feel like you have to put up the streamers and the banners and tape balloons and whatnot. So we found it was a good way to cut back is just take it outside.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, and I found, and I'm sure different municipalities have different, fees. Like, I think in our case, you can have up to like 75 people without having to get a permit.
Is that like insurance? I've seen that on signs at playgrounds and stuff. Is that?
Yeah, if you have over
like 75 people, then you have to get a permit with the local Parks and Recreation Department.
But they're pretty affordable. They're like $50 maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing that happens a lot in our community, in our neighborhood, so we've got one of those like centralized areas that people can, like the kids can come and play with, a little playground and stuff that's part of our development. And I see a lot of, it's like right in the gate when you first like come into our development. And I see a lot of people using that space, which is obviously free. The downside is, and I don't know if you run into this with a park, this is my concern with a park, is that unless you go through the permit thing, like you've got enough people where it's on file somewhere that you're going to have that space, that what if you show up and there's someone already there, or you know what I'm saying? You can't, I don't know that parks really have a reserve list.
So you can't, we actually got married at a park, so we were kind of worried about that.
Oh, yeah.
Wanting the location. It's first come, first serve, but
so you had your wedding at 7:00 in the morning.
No, we did not get married at 7, but what we did do is we sent people there first thing in the morning with a pop-up tent so they wouldn't get, in a cooler full of drinks and snacks, and they just kind of hung out at the park and saved the spot. So and that's worked for all the parties we've had there. You just got to get there. And to be honest, we pick the parks closer to the beach, and if you pick a park in a community where there's a lot of younger people, they're not getting up early in the morning. So you're going to be just fine.
Yes.
Whereas if you pick a park in, a more like family-friendly neighborhoods, you might be elbowing out someone else's birthday party. So that's something to consider too.
Yeah.
What if you can have, and obviously this won't apply to everyone that's listening, but here in San Diego, has anyone been to a birthday party on the beach? Like on a public beach?
You could have them at the shores.
At the shores?
Yeah. I mean, it's just
picnic kind of. Yeah, I mean, I've had picnic at sort of the picnic tables in the grassy area.
I mean, very informal.
Yeah,
but
and also Crown Point by the Bay. One of my best friends had like almost all their family birthday parties on the Bay side.
Now, I mean, for those who want to have an indoor party, I mean, if it's dead of winter and for our friends in the snow, that's outdoors isn't an option. How about for like rec centers? I mean, now I could imagine renting a rec center, and maybe there's a gym, and the kids could play games, like basketball, and doing some fun stuff indoors.
Right.
I mean, that's got to be, doable.
The smart thing might be to go to your city's website, you know what I mean,
Yes.
and contact the city and see what they have available, because it's like in the summer when they offer a bunch of programs that are usually discounted. Parks and Recs does it. I would think it would be the same thing. They always have like exercise classes and different things that are a lot cheaper than if you were to go the commercial route. So that would be my advice on that. Okay.
Well, great. Well, hey, okay, let's look at another tip. Okay, and I have to say I love this. Reuse. This at Twiniversity we talk about reusing things that might be just in your household and sort of repurposing it. So you might have items in your toy box that they can reuse. You might have sort of things you can use as a theme. Like, let's say you're going to have a tea party.
Yeah.
And you can bring out some china if you're up for that, but maybe more for the decoration.
Yeah.
Let's just say.
We're not putting any china near my twins.
But and just use what you have on hand. I mean, I know I often think of parties, and you have to go out and you have to color coordinate your tablecloth and your napkins, and the balloons, and has the same theme. But I bet we've got a lot of that in our home already.
Yes. Or it might be worth investing some from the get-go of just some white tablecloths or blue or red or whatever.
I was gonna say my boys were born in July, so what we did is their first birthday we made it a nautical theme, red and blue, and we bought red and blue napkins and red and blue straws, but we also bought some plasticware, to hold snacks and plates and silverware and stuff, and then we just stashed all the leftover. And then this year we had a baseball themed party, which is also red and blue, and we just reused it. So took advantage of the time of year and then keeping the stuff around. So
one thing I was going to say, my mom has done this for years because she's got a pool and has people over a lot, and they grill out and all this kind of stuff. For years, she started out when they first got their pool, of buying some really good and sturdy fork, spoons, whatever you call them.
Cutlery.
Yes.
Cutlery.
Yes. But they're still plastic, but they're really durable ones, not something you get like fast food or whatever. And she has reused that for years. Just think about how much money you would save. And she just has it in this little receptacle thing. It says, please save the silverware. She always has a basket. You can put it in on the side.
Smart.
And she has saved so much money. And, for years she's done that. So I know that's something really simple, but how many times do we just pick up something because it's easy and we just throw it away? And
that's smart. And and I think people are becoming much more green-minded. So as long as you have a place and sort of give your guests sort of the instruction to do that, I think that's a lot easier.
Well,
People
and
are so
the
much
plastic plates and cups that we bought, the reusable ones, my boys just eat off of them because they're toddlers and plastic is great. So we're still reusing the plates from their party basically every day.
Yeah, and another idea too is I'm thinking decorations. Now I have, in fact, we used it for the third time this year. I have this happy birthday banner, and you can switch out the number. So it was happy second birthday, third birthday, fourth, fifth, and so we this is becoming a tradition. We got the same banner, and it was such a great deal instead of having to buy birthday banners. And then I also got a roll. So instead of getting individual tablecloths, I got a roll of plastic. And so I use that every year. It's this, purple roll because my girls like pink and purple. So, that becomes I take that out. And and I'm not reusing the plastic itself, but I can say since I got that roll, it was maybe, I don't know, $8-9, and I've gotten 3-4 years use out of it.
Yeah, see? Absolutely.
And another thing I want to mention, I just saw recently one of our gals in our local Twins Club, she posted that she had dug out some decorations that she found, and it was a theme, and so she was offering that up to other members of the Twins Club. So
that's really smart.
Yeah. So I love this. So if you
use your twin club, yes.
If you want the theme stuff, there's a good chance your fellow twin moms might have some stuff that you can borrow.
Right.
Let's see. Okay. What's another tip? Use the internet. So I think we have everyone's pretty internet savvy, but I have to say I'm amazed. Now I'm not a big Pinterest person for ideas, but I know I talk to people. They're like, oh my gosh, they got these really cool things, and then I ask them Pinterest,
Always. Pinterest is so idealistic. It's yes, if that's all I had to worry about in this whole world, that's what my party would look like. I think it's great for ideas. I just don't want people to think that everything has to be the way, because keep in mind, now this probably changes as your kids grow older, but especially when they're really little, you're doing this really for yourself and for pictures. They don't care.
Right.
They don't care, right? And so as long as we have that caveat that, it's idealistic, it's pretty to look at, and it makes nice photos or whatever, but give yourself some, cut yourself some slack.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But you can find some deals, though.
Yes.
I mean, researching. I mean, I got to say, I have the Amazon Prime, so.
Oh, we do too.
Yes.
Everybody needs Amazon Prime.
And there's a mom thing. We talked about this in
Amazon
another
Mom.
episode.
Yes.
Episode mom.
If you don't
or
have it, get it.
Amazon mom.
So it's I gotta say, I mean, I can type it in and do a search, and there's probably a 99% chance you're gonna find it on Amazon or on eBay or Oriental Trading, one of those companies. And again, I think from a timing perspective, if you give yourself the time to research it and then figure out what's the best deal and then shipping, but I mean, you can find some really great deals. I know. We did sort of a, I guess, carnival theme for my girls last year, and then we just reused it this year again.
Yeah.
But we did, I got these really fun little bag toss, games where you try to toss it through the hole and get points. And we got Pin the Tail on the Donkey, and we've got these little floating ducks where you try to match, there's a number underneath, and all these just little fun things that now I can use from year to year. But I got them from Oriental Trading Company, and they were just I don't know, a few bucks here and there. So
and I like the idea of being able to reuse it, not just for another birthday party, but just in day-to-day, just to keep your twins occupied.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, if you're investing a little bit more money, for this item for the birthday party, think about how you can reuse that in just day-to-day life too. Yeah.
And and it comes to decorations too. I was going to say, internet, if you do a search, you can find them online. And I think also another great resource too that I found is dollar stores.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
For balloons.
Oh my gosh.
And
For
napkins.
Yes, plates and also wrapping stuff
Yes.
like bags and little trinket toys. If you're looking for something to stuff little gift bags.
Yes.
And stockings. That's where we need to go.
Let's see. What else can we do? How about do it yourself? So if I have to say, I'm not the most crafty person, but I do like the idea of having some things that, do yourself. And, I think it's great to do just maybe it's just one or two things. I mean, I know some people do everything, but I think if you just say, okay, I'm going to do one, maybe do a little goodie bag, or maybe you're giving. I saw here's a picture where they're giving away water, and they put a little fun, cute label on the. Yeah,
you can print out those labels for the water bottles.
The water bottles,
yeah, that's cute.
Some party favors. So
no, I'm not crafty at all. but do it yourself. So instead of buying like prepackaged themes, we've always we've kind of pull it together, like I said, nautical or baseball theme, and then okay, this is red and this is blue and this has a baseball on it, and let's get popcorn and pretzels and like Cracker Jack kind of thing. And something you can do yourself instead of buying goodie bags is we give food, because everybody loves food. So their first birthday would, like I said, the nautical theme, the gift bags had saltwater taffy for the adults and then goldfish crackers for the kids. And then this year we gave the goodie bags had Cracker Jack and little hot dog and hamburger candies and taffy again. So just
cute.
People love eating stuff.
Yeah.
And so I found that I prefer goodie bags that are edible. I mean, I know junk food with kids, but rather than the toys that go home and get lost. And
Right.
The little plastic things that end up getting vacuumed up.
Yeah. or if you've got younger kids, I worry about choking hazard.
Yeah.
Because it's fine for the boys that are older, but my twins, 10 months, I'm like, not okay for them.
No, I agree with you. Now, how about for DIY, making the cake? So
You mean DIY? Did you say DIY?
Oh, DIY. Thank you.
Next, it's DUI.
There you go.
That should not be a part of your kid's party.
No.
Drink responsibly.
DIY, yes. How about for making the cake? So I'm not a big baker, but I have made some cakes, and I know we're trying to do everything healthy and using whole grains, and that's kind of my motivation. But I do confess there's the really wonderful bakery that does amazing cakes, so that's kind of like our one splurge. But usually we would just do that like at home if we have a party. But
you can also ask a friend. So for the boys' first birthday party, my best friend and her sister made cupcakes and iced cookies and did that for us, rather than getting them a present. Her present was making them for us.
What a great gift.
Yeah, which was awesome because I am not a baker. But also your local grocery store they do themed cakes and cupcakes, and it's really affordable and really delicious.
The other thing I would say,
if you're not baking it yourself,
that's a great idea. The other thing I would say too is I think cakes are kind of about expectation. You expect cakes to look nice and neat. At least for me, that would be an issue. Like why I wouldn't want to make a cake, because I would feel like people were judging what the cake looked like. I don't feel like people necessarily have the same expectations for cupcakes. Yeah. And I like cupcakes because they're individual. And granted, you can get the gourmet cupcakes, so you can go all out. Like I get it. But if you do cupcakes, then you're really limiting portion sizes for kids, and you could cut out using more forks and plates.
And it is easy to make cupcakes you look nice. One tip is you can use if you don't have a piping bag, just cut the corner off a Ziploc bag, put the icing in there, and then you can just squeeze it kind of in a circle, and they look really fancy rather than spreading it with a knife. So you can just do like a little swirl. So it is easy to make cupcakes look fancier than it is to bake a cake.
And then you can go to Pinterest to see how to do it. How to
Let's see. Okay, now let's see. Our last one here is how about for entertainers? So now I can say entertainer. I don't usually think of having entertainers, but our friends at Twiniversity have talked about there can be a huge advantage if you have someone who can wrangle the kids. Because I know lots of times as a parent, you're running around, you're like, okay, got to do this activity, okay, we got to do the cake, and you're running and trying to get everything in place, and then trying to take pictures, and you don't get to really enjoy the time with your kids. Right. Now, given some entertainers can be really expensive and they're several $100s just in of themselves, but what about the idea of hiring, someone who's local or let's say a teenager who likes to dress up and has a little Frozen costume.
A lot of stay-at-home moms are doing that now. I have two friends actually who kind of have a little side business dressing up like Disney characters and doing a little face paint, and they're less expensive than a professional would be, and it's really kids don't know the difference,
right?
And it looks to be really successful. The kids just get so excited over the characters, and then there's a little bit of face painting, and they can read stories, and it's definitely.
Yeah. And that's just kind of worth it to be there, really being part of that moment with your kids.
Or if it's something, this is really weird. I know most people hate clowns, but I was obsessed with clowns as a kid. And my parents hired one for one of my birthday parties, and it was one of the most memorable ones because I just thought this was so amazing. I had my very own clown at my very own party. So if that's something that your kids are into, Frozen or magicians or whatever, then.
And it's nice because like Christine says, it takes the focus off you or off just the craziness. If you can draw attention to someone, you know what I mean? I think if there's a Disney princess there or whatever, I think that the kids are going to be a little bit better behaved. At least that's what I'm picturing. So it might be just a nice way to kind of calm things down a little bit.
All right. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for joining us today. And for more information about planning your twins' birthday party or for more information about any of our speakers and panelists, visit the episode page on our website. Now, this conversation continues for members of our Twin Talks Club. And after the show, we're going to talk about an alternative to having a birthday party. For more information about the Twin Talks Club, visit our website, newmommymedia.com. And you can get other great tips for twin parents from our partner at twiniversity.com.
All right, it's time for another segment on Twin Talks. This is our Twin Oops segment, which is so much fun because that's when we all learn that every twin parent makes mistakes, right? So this story comes from Jessica. Jessica writes, I have lots of stories, but the one I love the best is when they were two-ish. I like that, two-ish. They were really into flushing things down the toilet, cat food, toys, etc. Well, one day they flushed a potato down the toilet. Of course, it got stuck. My husband took the toilet off of the floor, flipped it over, and there was the potato. A few weeks later, they flushed a paintbrush down my mom's toilet, and we had to do it all over again. Oh my goodness, Jessica, I cannot tell you how many times we've had to tear apart our toilets too. I can tell you that it's not just twins it happens with, but I can imagine when two or more are gathered, there's a little bit more mischief. So something I have to look forward to as my twins are only 9 months old right now. So thanks so much for submitting this. If you guys have a funny twin oops story you want to share with us, call our voicemail at 619-866-4775 or send us an email through our website.
That wraps up our show for today, and we appreciate you listening to Twin Talks. Don't forget to check out our sister show, Preggie Pals, for expecting parents, our show, The Boob Group, for moms who breastfeed their babies, and Parent Savers, your parenting resource on the go. This is Twin Talks, Parenting Times 2.
This has been a New Mommy Media production. The information and material contained in this episode are presented for educational purposes only. Statements and opinions expressed in this episode are not necessarily those of New Mommy Media and should not be considered facts. While such information and materials are believed to be accurate, it is not intended to replace or substitute for professional medical advice or care, and should not be used for diagnosing or treating healthcare problem or disease or prescribing any medication. If you have questions or concerns regarding your physical or mental health or the health of your baby, please seek assistance from a qualified healthcare provider.
New Mommy Media is expanding our lineup of shows for new and expecting parents. If you have an idea for a new series, or if you're a business or organization interested in joining our network of shows through a co-branded podcast, visit newmommymedia.com.